Mia was the quiet type, not the kind of teenager to believe in ghost stories. But in her small town, one tale always stood out: the abandoned school on the edge of town. Decades ago, a fire had ravaged the place, leaving it in ruins. Yet, the whispers about the school were darker than just the tragedy of the fire. People talked about the forgotten hallway in the school's basement, a place where those who entered never returned. Mia dismissed it as a silly urban legend until her friends roped her into a dare. "Come on, Mia. Don't be a chicken. We'll go in, take a quick look, and get out." "Easy," said Sam, the boldest of the group. Jess and Mark nodded, grinning. Mia didn't want to go, but she also didn't want to be the one left out. Reluctantly, she agreed. That night, armed with flashlights, they stood before the charred, crumbling school. The broken windows stared back like empty eyes, and the faint scent of burnt wood still lingered. The door groaned loudly as Sam pushed it open, and a cold, stale breeze greeted them. Inside, the corridors were eerily silent. Their footsteps echoed faintly against the cracked tile floors. Old desks and chairs lay scattered, some blackened by fire. As they moved deeper into the building, Mia felt a chill creep up her spine. She swore she heard a faint rustling sound, but when she turned, there was nothing. "It's just the wind," she muttered to herself, trying to shake off the unease. They finally found the staircase to the basement. An iron door at the bottom stood slightly ajar, its surface covered in rust and scratches. Above it, someone had scrawled in faded red paint, "Enter and never leave." Jess laughed nervously. "What's this? A bad horror movie prop?" "Come on, let's see what's so scary." Sam pushed the door open with some effort, revealing a long, narrow corridor. The air down here was heavier, colder. The walls were stained with soot, and the ceiling was lined with rusted pipes. At the far end, the hallway disappeared into darkness. "This is it," Mark scoffed. "A creepy hallway. Big deal." The group stepped in cautiously. Their flashlights barely penetrated the thick shadows ahead. The sound of their footsteps felt muted, swallowed by the oppressive silence. "Guys," Jess whispered, "do you hear that?" A faint sound, a whisper, or maybe a hiss, seemed to drift toward them from the darkness. They froze. Suddenly, a shadow flickered at the edge of their flashlight beams. It was human-like, but blurred, like smoke caught in motion. Mia's heart pounded. "We need to leave. Now," she hissed. The group turned back toward the door, but the hallway seemed longer than before. No matter how far they walked, the door didn't get any closer. Panic set in as the shadow began to follow them, moving closer with each passing second. "This can't be happening," Sam shouted, his voice cracking. "It's like we're stuck." Jess and Mark disappeared first. One moment, they were running just ahead. The next, they were gone, swallowed by the shadows. Mia and Sam were alone now. The shadow loomed closer, its form twisting unnaturally. Sam turned to face it, yelling, "Leave us alone." But as the words left his mouth, the shadow enveloped him, and he vanished without a trace. Mia ran, tears streaming down her face, as the corridor stretched endlessly before her. Her flashlight flickered and died, leaving her in near total darkness. Ahead, she spotted a door, a faint glimmer of hope. With all her strength, she pushed it open and stumbled through. Instead of the school's exit, Mia found herself in a sterile, white room. The walls were cracked, the fluorescent lights above flickering. She stood in the middle of what looked like an old psychiatric hospital. Distant voices echoed in the halls, though she couldn't make out the words. Her legs felt heavy as she moved cautiously forward, peeking into empty rooms. Each was the same: metal beds with restraints, peeling wallpaper, and a sense of abandonment. Suddenly, she heard footsteps. Turning quickly, she saw a figure in a long coat, a doctor, maybe standing at the end of the hallway. His face was pale, his eyes hollow. He tilted his head slightly and whispered, "You shouldn't have come here." Mia tried to run, but the hallway shifted around her. No matter which way she turned, she ended up back where she started. She screamed, her voice echoing uselessly in the empty corridors. In one room, she found a rusted metal plaque bolted to the wall. The words sent a chill down her spine. The forgotten never leave. She realized with horror that the stories were true. The forgotten hallway wasn't just a place. It was a trap, and now, she was part of it. No one ever saw Mia or her friends again. Some say their screams can still be heard if you stand near the school at night. Others claim to see shadowy figures in the windows. The legend of the forgotten hallway remains a warning to anyone curious enough to explore the ruins. But for those who dare to enter, they discover the truth too late. Once you step inside, you can never leave.